So the Australian Banking Association has come out today, very recently, and said cash is no longer king. And I thought, this is just such good bullshit, I've got to share it with you. More people are starting to shift towards digital payment methods. That's according to Anna Bligh, the former Queensland Premier and absolute cabal propagandist. The popularity of e-wallets and mobile devices is skyrocketing, and that's why the lack of cash. The ABA data does show the majority of Aussies are paying off their balances each month on their credit cards. In the past year, some people have expressed the concerns over jumping credit card usage as the cost of living has gone, but people are paying off their credit cards and using their debit cards to pay the household bills. So relatively high interest levels, or high levels of Australians paying off their credit card before interest accrues. In March, 45% of credit balances incurred interest, a drop of 1% year on year, and a low of 51% figure recorded in 2022. Here's where it gets interesting, folks. The ABA research also found 43%. 11% feel extremely secure. Or you could say 89% of us have some doubts about the security of our money. 14% of survey respondents usually carry forward a credit balance each month. So these people are indebted to the banks. Most people are, I guess, if you've got a credit card. Most Australians are meeting their repayments or paying their credit card off in full each month. But some people might be worried about it. You can get help from the banks, blah, 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 blah. Cash no longer king. Back in 2007, about 70% of all transactions were made using cash, but the latest data from the Reserve Bank shows the figure slumped to just 30% in 2022. I wonder why that would be. How many ATMs have been removed from areas you live in since 2007? How many people have been installed at the front of your bank to stop you going to a teller to get cash, to do business, if that business could be done through their ever-increasing smart ATMs? Now, they employ a floor walker to stop you getting to the counter, because then they don't have to count a customer service moment with a counter or somebody behind that counter, and therefore they can say less and less people are coming into the bank. Absolute bullshit. Telstra is a classic example of this. If you walk into a Telstra shop and try and pay your bill with cash, they will not accept it. Why? They're not allowed to take money. Why? Well, they've got no facility to hold it. They don't have a till. They don't have a register. They don't have anything. They've all got iPads and the latest iPhones, but they don't have anything else. So if you want to pay anything, you want to have any dealing with Telstra, you must pay for it using your credit or debit card. Now, if you had the choice to pay by cash, would you pay by cash? Would you walk into the store like you used to do and pay by cash then? Of course you would. So many businesses today don't allow you to pay by cash because they're too lazy, they're too stupid, they're just compliant, not because they're trying to offer you a service. So yeah, share of in-person transactions made in the cash halved in the 3 years to 2022. That's because the ability to pay cash has more than halved in the 3 years to 2022. The access to cash. How many times have you gone to, one of the few remaining ATMs around you and found it has no cash, particularly on a Sunday night of a long weekend or possibly even just a busy weekend? Cash is now used less than electronic methods for all transaction sizes. What Einstein figured that out? Of course. If you can't pay cash, don't and won't accept cash over the counter, you'll only accept credit or debit card payments, well, of course, cash is going to be used less than electronic methods for transactions of all sizes. I know tap and go is easy to do, but we really shouldn't do it. We should be demanding they take cash, but Telstra will just say no. The Telstra shops won't accept your money, and they'll still disconnect your phone even though you've offered to pay it in cash. If you are lucky enough to get a customer service operator that actually lives in Australia, they will tell you for 6 hours straight, if they can, that the only way to pay is by using a bit of plastic. And it won't be long that you'll require your digital ID to do it. Now, I had to supply an ID, as I'm sure you did when you got a phone, whether it was recently or way back when. Your ID is still valid. The number on that license is valid all the way through. It doesn't change. So what happens when Telstra tell you they're going to require a digital ID from you from now on so you can pay your bill? Now, once again, until when the Q phones arrive, we're stuffed because the main service provider, Telstra, has the best coverage in the country, and there is no other option for some people. And I've got to say, the other options are limited and restrictive. So these bastards have you over a barrel. And I have no doubt the telcos will all require you to pay in plastic because they have 12-year-olds behind the counters and they don't trust them with the money. How much corporate theft must there have been for them to want to phase out cash so their staff doesn't get to touch it? Got to say, I think there's probably a bit there. So all of these graphs have been engineered. Do we understand that? This one, card and cash spending. Well, cash going down, cards going up, cash payments, dropping down significantly since 2000. So why aren't they also putting up the graphs of how restrictive they've made our access to cash? When will that graph be put beside these graphs and be compared? When will there be some honesty in our mainstream media in the reporting? This is just rip and read straight off the press release that the propagandist Bly wants you to know that the banks, we're here to help. We're here to help. Yep, we're going to take your money. We're going to give you a small piddling, pissy amount of interest for that deposit. We're going to charge you just enough fees so that the piddly amount of money we give you in interest is taken up in those fees and comes back to us. We're going to loan your money out to other people at a much higher interest rate, and we're going to keep the difference between what they give us and what you gave us, minus $1. Get your money out of the banks. Thieving bastards. It's all they are. And when you've only got cash or gold and silver to deal with, they'll come around. But it requires us all to be involved. It requires us to stop the easy payment. And it requires us to demand of those providing our service or services to us that they take the legal currency of the nation. Be that in its current form or, as Len Clampett has discovered, the older form, which is still paper, but still legal. So Len tried to hand over $100 note that the kid behind the counter had never even seen before. It was from before the kid was born, I think. But they eventually took it, as they should. The banks are just unbelievable in the bullshit stories and the weaving of those stories that they are telling.
They're afraid of you noticing what's going on and speaking your mind and standing up, and you're sitting there thinking that you don't matter. Well, if you don't matter, then why are they spending trillions of dollars on trying to keep you quiet? Our voices matter. Our actions matter. How we live matters. And if we don't realize that we're falling into this trap,
we need to come together and do one thing: stop participating. And when we do that, the game is over. When we literally say, Monday morning, we're not going to go to work. Imagine if 30 million people didn't go to work Monday. Imagine if 30 million people didn't buy gas on Monday. Imagine if 30 million people went to the bank on Monday and said, I want to withdraw all my money. They can't even give it to all 30 million because only 15% of the cash is available on hand at any given time. The rest is fake zeros and ones. That would collapse the banking system in one day. You see the power in that? You have the power. Well, we all have the power. But what's keeping us back from doing this? Fear. Oh my God, if I don't go to work, I'm going to get fired. And if they don't participate in it, and I'm the only one that doesn't show up for work, I'm going to lose out, and you're not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm not going to be able to make my car payment, and so forth and so on. You see the trap they have us in? They have us in this system where we're afraid to work together. We're afraid to be like, man, we're brothers. We should be, link up. Let's do this together. So that's where we got to get to, guys. We got to get to the point where we're literally all on the same accord, and that's going to happen. We've got to get to that point.
If we want to get our country back under our care and control here, our custody, and to remove the belligerent occupation, then all of it must go. All of it. Not this or that, but all of it. And what does that all of it mean? Well, it's parliaments, it's local councils, it's courts, it's law enforcement, it's taxation office, because all of it, according to the entire body of evidence that has been published by some of the best researching people, I think, in our family, broader family, that I've just aforementioned, they say it's belligerent, right? They say it's illegal. They say it's all fake. They say there's no common seal. They say all sorts of things, right? And they prove it.
G'day Aussies. Look, we know courage is as rare as rock and horse shit. But find something within yourself to get on and sign up for the National Strike. www.nationalstrikeaustralia.org. Let's end this belligerent occupation and take our country back and give our children a future that we want, not what they want.